Cool.
Here we are.
Here we are. All right. Welcome back, everybody. God, what day are we on?
We are on day
15 of 42 days of magical practice to help you achieve a goal that you want in your life. And today we're going to do another deep dive into the burning meditation practice. We're going to talk a little bit more about some of the benefits of it,
right,
and give a specific variation that we can use to get an even more pointed result with, hopefully.
Right, a little more physical variation.
Yeah, it's not even that there would be more results from it, I think.
Right,
yeah,
absolutely.
That's not accurate.
Just a different method.
Yeah, and a different way that you might wrap your head around it, and
sure.
And also that you may get more effect from or less effective from, depending on your frame of reference and your personal experience.
Right, and also what can a way to change that perspective for you so that you can get the results from it, and that may springboard you into other practices later, right? So I think that's important too.
Absolutely.
So some of the benefits of this, concrete benefits. I mean, we can, obviously we're burning away the stress and mental fatigue that we've gathered either through a situation or from a day or from a week of, maybe it's, maybe you're an accountant and it's tax week, right? So it's like you've been on for, seems like a year. So, after that, it's still staying with you, some event that's staying with you. So I'm going to burn that and sort of release that stress and mental fatigue that I've gathered from that time that I did my last burning, right? And so it's accumulated and sort of weighing me down. Another end result would be that if I'm burning a situation again that becomes unconscious or is unconscious normally, it sort of brings it to the light, and in recognizing it and becoming more aware of it, it sort of stems the outward flow of your energy toward that, because it's not unconscious anymore. You're consciously able to see it, and then you can act on it according in congruency, right? And then because you're doing it that way, there's no wasted energy. You're not just bleeding something off, right? So the more energy you have, again, to provide for whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. Another technique, or another attribute of this, and one of the things that they use it for, is self-healing, right? So they actually, a physical healing, not just a mental, emotional, or an energetic healing, right? It's like the energy, your body is energy. There's nothing there's nothing that isn't energy. It's just a different aggregation or different concentration of energy, right? So there is only the one thing. So, and in this case, the burning meditation is a good way to sort of get in there and burn off the dross, right? Burn off the defect, if you will, or the excess that's no longer needed, whether it's burning it through the channels the same way Qigong does, through breathing and exercise and movement, or, something that's arthritic or paining you, burning out the excess that is causing the inflammation, or any of those things. And physical changes can occur when you do this correctly and you do it consistently. So it can be used for minor things too. Well, minor, everything's relative, right? So you can use this to take away headaches. You can use this to, help your eyesight. You can use this to, help many different physical things as well. So the idea is the same. The practice is the same. It's just that your specific intent will change. But know that it can be used for that. And there are even more pointed ways to make that happen as far as the physical burning goes. So, or the burning for a physical malady. Great for colds and flus, right? If you have the wherewithal, if you can be, Spartan enough to sort of say, well, I really feel sucky, but I'm going to do this burning anyway. It doesn't get more relaxed than that, because your body is, it wants nothing more than to relax, because it's just hurting, and, you're in a miserable state. So, when you're in that place, the body will want to sort of get into a deeper state of relaxation. As long as you can stay mentally awake and aware and run yourself through the burning, you can really change things very quickly and, turn the cold or the flu or whatever around very fast.
That's one of those. That's one of those flexibility of thinking things that's so awesome. Like, just to take it and not to say like, oh, it's great when I get a cold, but just to reframe it to say, when I'm sick, it's not that something's working against me,
Right.
or that I'm being attacked, or
Right,
or
right,
like
right.
oh it's all gone to hell, I can't do my practice or whatever. That's it really is such a good opportunity to if you can do it, to take advantage of the way that your body feels, because like we were saying in the last video, having the body relaxed and more or less degree offline is one of the major goals. So,
well, if you think about it, in a number of practices, shamanic practices and others, that we contrive things, right, to try to put ourselves in a state of emergency. We contrive different events and put ourselves in different, contrived sort of circumstances, right?
Right.
That sort of are like fight or flight, right? And so they're trial by fire, right? Trial by fire, meaning you really have the idea that, you may not survive this. And so it brings everything to bear, your focus to bear. You have to relax to get through this. You have to bring everything that you know to bear on your, moving through this task or this test.
Was the whole point of those,
that was the whole
vision
point of that. That's the whole point of that. That's right.
Like when people go to do like ayahuasca or whatever,
all of those things,
they make
absolutely.
you sick so that your body lets go and relaxes, and you enter
and then you enter into
a
different state. That's right. So again, being able to sort of dissipate the body off in a way to allow your mind to become more wave-like, and your energy to sort of expand so that you can engage something on a different level. So a cold or a sickness or flu, something like that, that's not, of course, life-threatening or whatever, but we can use it. A headache that we can use, in that event to say, wow, okay, this is pain,
instead of feeling
discomfort and saying, oh, it's killing my brain. So it's like, what can I do with this? Basically, I'm in a trial by fire. How far can I get through this with this going on, or what can I do to attain my goal with this going on? So again, I've had some amazing results from practices that I did when I was sick. And because your body wants to let go. So you're not forcing it anymore. It really wants to help you to let go, and so you can move into it much more easily. It may not feel like it's comfortable. You may have that resistance of, oh, I don't really want to do this. I don't feel well enough to do this. All of these excuses that come up. Okay, don't beat yourself up if you go to that place. But there's also the place of, oh, my body really wants to relax right now. What better time is there to try to get to that profound sense of relaxation? It's only going to help my body. If I can get into that place, I'm going to heal much faster. It's going to be good for me. And the momentum of my body is already moving in that direction. So why not utilize it? Give myself, that state where I can really sense it and experience it. And that'll give me a landmark to get back to. It'll give me an experience to repeat over and over again. Not to have a cold or a flu, but get back to that end result.
To use everything to your advantage.
Exactly. Use everything to your advantage. And I always find it funny that, when we look at it, it's like we contrive these things to try to put ourselves in these states. Some of them are pretty elaborate, right? So, we have these opportunities on a semi-regular basis, hopefully if we're healthy, not too often, but when we do, we can utilize them, and that's a good thing to do. We might as well take advantage of everything we have available to us. We don't have to contrive a cold. It's there, and so let's utilize it and make it worth something.
And so again, you were saying one of the benefits is physical healing of the burning meditation. So perfect time to do when you're feeling that way. But also, I don't know if you mentioned it just now or if it was before. But you said that you could also be used for physical healing with another person.
Sure. I mean, again, if you can do it with yourself, as long as you have the flexibility of mind to transfer that idea to them or to utilize it on them. I mean, what is qigong? I mean, there's a qigong that we use to open our own channels and heal ourselves, but there's also a qigong where I direct my energy through another person to help clear any kind of blockages or any impedance in their flow of energy and boost that up again. So there's not a big stretch to think that, okay, it's just a different visualization. What kind of focus can I use to sort of engage them in this process? There's not a big difference. It's not like there's a proximity that makes any difference. It could be done distance, doesn't matter. It could be done right next to somebody. So it's only in your mind that makes that distance applicable or not. So I found that the burning meditation done on someone else with an illness or something that's going on with them can really have a profound effect on them, even at a distance. It's not a problem.
But that would be a variation that we can't really get into.
Not right now, but again, you would want to make sure that you really have a handle on it for yourself,
right?
Before you would try it on someone else.
But definitely an inspiration for practice, right?
Oh,
if
of
you are the
course.
type of person that wants to be able to do something like that, or
if you want to enhance
out.
your healing ability or
Right.
that type of thing, it's a wonderful way to sort of branch out and to be able to do that with great effect, actually.
Right.
So, but again, to do it on yourself and really learn the finer points and make it a profound practice for you before you would do it with anyone else. That would be my only admonition for
Absolutely.
that. So
Absolutely. So what's the variation that we're going to go into
So
today?
the variation is not an Asian variation, although they do have something like that. They do have something like this, but it's basically I'll just go through it first and then I'll explain it a little bit more detail. Okay, so
Perfect.
basically you just take a piece of paper. It doesn't matter any paper you have. If you let's just go through it first, and then I have a hard time not just running into the variations. So that's your job. Okay.
Keep it under control.
Slacking. So all right, so I take a piece of paper and I'm going to draw an upright equilateral triangle, or as close to that as I can get, basically, which again in alchemy represents the fire, right? So here we have the symbol for fire, so we're already kind of engaging that on a burning level, right? And I'm just inside that triangle. And again, also in certain magical traditions, the triangle is a containment, right? So we contain an aspect of something that is more volatile or chaotic. So we can kind of contain it that way.
Which, if this is something that we want to burn away or dissipate, is
we're kind of considering it's
definitely
chaotic, at
in
least.
that category.
Right. So, and then I write in the triangle, inside the borders of the triangle, whatever that is, whatever that thing is, I concentrate on it, or I'll concentrate on it first. And then as I write it out, I'm really paying attention. I'm really focusing on.
Can you give an example of what you would write in the triangle?
Sure. I mean, it may be like, let's say...
And again, maybe picking something from your Black Mirror.
Exactly. Something
Right.
from the Black Mirror. So maybe I get anxious around my family or whatever, or anxious around your mom. You go home and you fall right back into something and she's always nitpicking at you or whatever it is, something.
Sure.
Doesn't matter. Any random thing. So and I'm just going to bring that image up in my mind. And then as I have it, and basically I'll know when I have it because I get that feeling, that bodily sensation, that visceral sensation of that event occurring.
Discomfort, more or less, in one form or another.
Exactly. Or, some kind of, vibration or, and where in the body is that? So everybody's a little bit different with that, right? So, but it's there, and I bring that up until it's really very strong. And then I take my pen or whatever I'm using, pencil, whatever it is, and I'm just writing. I could do it as simple as writing the word in there. So I'm going to write anxiety in that triangle, or you may want to be more explicit and say, anxiety around mom, or visiting mom, so whatever it is, don't worry, because it's going to go away in a second. So mom's not going to get it and torture you. So don't worry about that. So,
what's this?
Yeah, that's right. What does this mean? Oh yeah, Joe left that here. Don't worry. He's having a little trouble. Yeah, it could be all kinds of things with that, right? So, So there you have it.
It's
And
late.
you put it, yeah, it's late. You put it in there, and then you'll take that and you'll bring it to a fire. If you have a fireplace in your house, or a wood stove, or if it's in the summer or even in the winter. Some people have campfires in the winter, or they have property to do that, or whatever. You want to actually put it in the fire with the idea that it's burning the dross, but that energetic aspect is going up and up and out. It's expanding. So we're burning that contained sort of chaotic force and turning it, getting rid of the excess and turning it just into something, just the essence
Available
that we can
energy.
use, the available energy that we can use. Yeah, that's all it is. Very simple. It sounds very superficial when you state it that way, but here's how we would do it to make it more. And this is just a general lesson on why these things can work not at all, or why they can work really, really well. It's the mindset of the practitioner. So if I want to give it more weight, I may, and again, just by my standards, nobody else's, I may give it, I engage it on a very personal level. So here, I'm going to use a special piece of paper, I may use parchment. I may use something else. I make it special. I make it something that's not the usual. I'm not using a notepad that I would, for myself, that I would just write that out on and say, oh, get milk on the way home. I'm going to make it, I'm going to engage it personally. I'm going to make my triangle with that idea that it's going to contain this chaotic force, this triangle that represents the element of fire. Which is going to control this and keep it contained. And as I bring it up and I write it in, maybe I'll even use my other hand, right? So I make it different than what my normal writing hand would be, because it's not normal anymore. I'm changing. I'm making myself more flexible. I'm doing something that's unique. I may even have something in my pocket that makes me feel differently than I normally would. And that's where all of these, if we want to extend it, that's where the robes and all of that stuff comes from, right? It's like the idea that you're different than doing this than you are when you're, just in your regular work day. So, but we can make it into something, but it doesn't have to be too elaborate unless you want it to be that way, unless each motion, each thing that I do puts me into a deeper and deeper state of, either bringing up that anxiety, or knowing that this is going to have an effect, right? Putting myself into a brainwave state or a bodily state, knowing that this is actually going to have an effect. And as I convince myself of that more and more and more, and I write it in, it carries more weight. And when that happens, and then you put it into the fire with gratitude for whatever lesson that you're receiving from that you've received from that, and also that you're able now to let it go. And that you're going to take back the energy that was wasted, going into something that has no good return for you, So what you need will come back to you. You'll never get rid of stuff you don't need. You'll never get rid of stuff that you need. You'll only get rid of stuff that you don't need, the excess, right? So no worries about that. So let it be consumed and let it burn off the dross, and know that as that's happening, that you feel it actually pulling it from you and being consumed at the same time. It's feeding that fire, and the essence of that is actually circulating back inside of you, right? So, and only the excess is going out, and that's all you really want to do. But the idea is that the more personalized I make it, the more entrained I get. The more, for some people, the more suspension of disbelief, the more engaged you are with the process to bring yourself to that idea that this is something. I'm basically, taking a concept in my mind, creating it on something physical, which is energy, and I'm using energy to create it and put it on there in a very specific way with a very specific intent, and using another source of energy to transmute that into something else, or to pull that away from me, any excess that I need that's causing me discomfort, to pull that away, but getting back that rarefied essence that's going to help me achieve another goal, because I don't need to do that anymore. So the more I can either personalize it, and for me that would be that, but for people in the beginning where they kind of might feel a little silly doing that or whatever, it's like it's suspending your disbelief for a moment, just to try it as an experiment, as a lighthearted, like, let's really put this in here and see what happens if I really engage this in an energetic way. If I really engage it in a personal way, what kind of effect will this have? And I think you'll be surprised. I mean, that's when things start to really transition for people, when they really engage in the practices in a personal way, when they make it meaningful to them, if they can, suspend their disbelief for just a little bit of time and see what results come of that.
Yeah.
And journal it,
Right.
just make a note, what happened that day, what happened that night, what kind of dreams came from that, if it was at night or whatever, or what kind of work day did you have, did you feel lighter, did you think about it at all, or, did your mother call you that day and have a different response? Those kinds of things, those things happen.
Absolutely.
Those energetic connections, if it's dealing with another person, they feel that and they will make contact with you. And so, is the engagement different? Do you feel a little more settled with it? Does it tweak you still, or whatever it is? So again, we're looking for the results, and that's just another sort of method of the burning, and a little, and a way to make any of those methods just a little bit more powerful by relaxing and moving into that in a personal way that's really meaningful to you, will actually cause that energy and that entrainment to the process that much more meaningful for you and more effective. The more meaning it has, the more effective it's going to be for you. And that's it. It's all about your energy and, the vibration of change, right? So the more I can change myself to do this exercise, and the more the change that I acknowledge on the way back, it brings me to a different place, and then I can engage the world in a different way. That's it in a nutshell. There you have it.
So good.
Good. Happy to be of service.
It's like when you get into that, when he gets into that place and goes through the whole thing like that, it's hard to it's hard to know exactly what to say to follow it up, because I feel like it's so inspirational. I mean, I hope that it inspires you to do the practice. I mean, I know that I'm like, I know we're going to go eat now, but I'm like, man, I want to go burn some stuff. That sounds freaking awesome.
That's right.
Let's do it.
You got any special paper for me?
Yeah. Hey, Bri.
Right.
Anyway,
but that's the idea
in
a nutshell. And you'll see how that as we go through this process, there'll be other opportunities to do that. And maybe if you think about it, ways that what we've already talked about, you can approach it in a more personal manner as well, right? So all of those things, again, is that idea of, sort of suspending your disbelief for a short period of time, because you're not sure. There's no reason to say you believe it. You might believe it intellectually, but you don't believe it because you don't have the results to support it yet. But as you go through and more things occur, and they're directly occurring from what you're doing, that belief from consistent results is going to build and build and build, and that's what we call magical momentum. So, and that can be applied in many different ways. So that's it.
Cool.
Yeah. Day 14. 15. I just went back in time for
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
See you tomorrow.